It usually just connects.
You do the countdown again?
Yeah, hang on.
A duck.
You should feel good.
Hey there. He was just showing me a picture of a duck, which has nothing to do with anything.
Really? You don't know anything about ducks?
Yeah, a little bit.
Geese?
A little bit. Geese. Yes.
Geese, duck, what's the mallard with all this?
That was pretty good.
Hmm.
Hey, it's 3:00 on a Tuesday. We all know what that means. Another riveting episode of Behind Breaking Bond.
Before we do this, Fox 26 wants you to know that right now, residents are lining up for the illegally.
Yeah, hey, yeah, today's the opening day of the rodeo. It's Parker, oh, what's the guy's name? Parker
Calm.
McCollum. Yes.
Yeehaw.
Hometown boy. We've been doing a lot of, we should do Behind Breaking Bond at the rodeo.
Hey, how many people are expected to attend the rodeo? Do you know that?
No, do you?
Over 2.5 million.
Really?
Mhm. We were a little under 2.5 million last year.
That's incredible.
Why do you know this?
Because I just like to have trivia questions to ask you.
Miss Trivia, please
Who are
introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm Sydney Zeiker. I'm the director of the Safe Community Institute. And I don't know if it's officially or unofficially Andy's handler.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Finally.
Uh-huh.
Finally, there's an Andy Kahn
And
handler.
if you
I'm
wanna
failing.
make
I'm
me
failing
happy,
miserably.
You want to make me happy, Drake's Yankee Doodles, which was sent to me by media outlets. None of them were Fox.
Okay.
I-
Fox doesn't bribe
don't-
people.
I feel like that was some shade.
You're right.
Hey, what kind of coffee are you drinking today?
The balance
Well,
force.
first of all, the cup's clean, so I can't
All
tell. what it was. This is, again, No Bond Coffee and Crime Stoppers Coffee. And it'll be, well, I can't say it because No Bond Coffee was, we actually don't make No Bond Coffee, but it's a coffee label. But if you want to order coffee and then I can put a No Bond or axe grinding fear mongering label on your coffee, I can do that as well.
Do you have to be out on bond to drink the no bond coffee?
Yeah,
Or
not only
how does that work?
That's what Andy's doing.
And it's 1 cup per bond.
Okay.
So, like, I have multiple
Right.
per bond, and you get to eat a scrumptious Yankee Doodle with that.
All right.
So there
Hey,
you go.
you
So
were not supposed to be
No.
here today. Tell us what
I
you were
was
going to
supposed
do.
to be driving to the Capitol because there was supposed to be a Senate criminal justice hearing, but they found out that Sydney will be out of town next week, so they rescheduled the hearing
Yes.
just because. So
What are the hearings for?
the hearings, basically, it'll be the Senate Criminal Justice Committee. One of the bills that's near and dear to our heart that should have passed last session, so it's back for its second time, and that's what's called SJR 44. Do you know what SJR stands for?
No.
Sydney June Ramirez, that was my maiden name.
I like that.
That was pretty good, though.
Yeah.
But SJR is called the Senate Joint Resolution.
And what would it do?
It will allow Texas voters to decide whether or not judges should have discretion. Keyword discretion.
That's a big deal.
Yes, not a mandate, not to grant bond to defendants charged with certain violent felony crimes.
And keep in mind through the whole bond situation, bond reform, what do we hear from judges? My hands are tied by the Constitution. I can't just decide. I have no discretion. I can't decide these things, right? That was it. The only time that I can, as a judge, deny someone bond is for capital murder. This right here would take all of that away, wouldn't it?
And basically, all it's going to do is give them the option. And the best thing about it is Texas voters would decide whether this is
That's-
a good bill
Yes.
or a bad bill.
And that's how it should
So
be.
if this were to pass all the way through in this legislature, all it would do is put that on
On
your
the ballot?
ballot to decide collectively if we want that to happen. So it passing this session wouldn't even mean that it would for sure go into effect.
Right.
Yeah, just by,
Would it be on the ballot this November?
Yeah, it would.
And you know, I think we can all agree that that's kind of the best way to approach things, right? It's by the majority of people. That's what they want. That's how they feel about it. If somebody wants to see this happen, they can't go to the hearing. What should they do? Contact?
Contact their state representatives, their state senators, and say, we want you to support this constitutional amendment. Bottom line. Now, the other bill that's really interesting, because you and I have done stories a long time now on defendants who remove, tamper, or destroy their ankle monitor.
Right.
Whether they're on parole, probation, and or bond. And most people are shocked to find out it is not against the law to do that.
And couldn't you make the argument that doesn't that belong to the state? Or I mean, isn't that a tax
For the
thing?
most part, if they waive the fees for the monitor, that means you, the taxpayer, are footing the bill
Right.
for it. And the analogy that I've always used, if I go into a state senator's office and I take a chair and I break it apart, I'm going to be charged with a crime. But if
Yeah.
I'm on parole, probation, or bail, and I take a tax-funded ankle monitor
And
I
throw it
chuck
away.
in a dumpster, I'm not.
And these things are expensive, right? I mean, they're not cheap.
No, they're not. And about the last time I looked, close to 10 states actually have laws on the books charging an offender if they do remove, destroy, or tamper an ankle monitor. What I think, and again, it's discretionary.
Right.
All that would I'll do is give an opportunity to do that, because right now it's a technical violation.
Right.
And
Which
violating
is
criminal law
enhanced.
carries a little bit more weight than a technical violation.
Well, and who knows? I mean, it might make somebody think twice about doing it because, well, I'm going to pick up another charge if I yank this thing off my leg and throw it away. I mean, it could be a deterrent.
We're actually, one of the cases we're featuring tonight has an ankle monitor element to it.
These ankle monitors, it's just crazy. I don't know if this happened to you too. We may have told you this before, but what was that? A couple of weeks ago, we're both going down to the courthouse.
Oh,
I was with Sydney,
Yes.
I was with Sydney
And
and our other colleague.
this young guy is like, I mean, I go through it and he says, I need to see your ankle. What?
no, they asked Andy straight up, sir, are you wearing an ankle monitor?
Well,
And we'd been going.
I had to pull my pant
Uh-huh,
leg up to
uh-huh.
show them that I wasn't wearing an
Uh-huh.
ankle monitor.
I very quickly responded, no, but do you want me to go home and get
You guys must look
Darn
really
it, I left
suspicious.
That's
'Cause
what
they
it
don't
is.
ask me
Right.
that.
Of course not. We look sketchy.
We're just hoping you do have an ankle
we
monitor.
look like people that should be tracked.
That was the first time I can actually recall I was ever asked if I was wearing an ankle monitor.
Me too.
I don't know, maybe it's a new fad.
I had to pull my pant leg up to show that I didn't have one on.
Yeah.
Hey, I'd call this good news.
I think it's good news.
Yes, it is.
I think it's good news.
Tell us
Look
this.
at me being the sunshine one on this.
You are.
Okay, so Crime Stoppers has been looking at some of the bond numbers. We're always looking at some of the bond numbers.
Yes.
And we have some good news. So when Senate Bill 6 went into effect in December of 21? Yes. We've talked about this multiple times on Behind Breaking Bond, but that bill basically just prohibited giving a PR bond for certain violent offenses.
Right.
So we were hoping that would mean that we would see, a decrease in the number of people killed out on bond in correlation with that. And the good news is that has happened.
That's right.
We've actually seen almost 53% decrease in the number of Harris County residents who have been allegedly killed by people who are out on multiple bonds, PR bonds, in bond forfeiture. Andy's lovely list that he's
And
created.
still, I mean, we're talking about 187 that we got up
Yes,
to
we
187.
still have 187, but we've also seen the amount of bond for violent offenses
Go up.
increase. So that's good
I
news
mean,
too.
when you report on cases and you're saying he's got a $500,000
Mhm.
bond.
Right, yeah.
You didn't see that a couple of years ago.
I mean, judges are obviously paying attention, and they're trying to do what they can
Yeah.
to sort of to stop this. I mean, I think we got to a point where I think everyone would agree that this is a serious issue that we need to stop this. I mean, it made entirely no sense to allow someone to repeatedly be given a bond just to go out and pick up a new criminal offense. I mean, it made no sense at all.
No, it became a national news story,
Yeah.
and you had an entire legislative session that focused primarily on the issues of bond reform in Harris County.
Yeah.
Bills filed as a result of that, and Senate Bill 6 was one of the outliers of this. So I do give it a credit. I give credit, the fact that we've been hammering this issue
Yeah.
for several years. And, as much as, we do, we report on these types of offenses, the reality is the cases involving defendants charged with murder on multiple felony bonds or PR bonds and whatever have diminished dramatically. Right now, in 2023, I've got 3 so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're on pace
There was years where there was what?
50, 60, we were doing
some?
Oh, yeah.
heyday. I mean, we could pick and choose whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, it had gotten that bad. So, I mean, it is good to kind of know that
So
things are slowly kind of turning around.
slowly turning around. And I think that we've seen that in many of our violent crime categories, although we're still kind of at a multi-decades high.
Right.
It has come down a little bit from 21. The one thing that I'm still seeing a lot of is felon in possession of a weapon and even PR bonds given to felon in possession of a weapon, because that offense is not within the realm of Senate Bill 6.
And that you want to try to stop.
Yeah, the felon in possession of a weapon, or as I say, you shouldn't be carrying a gun or a firearm. And since everybody's talking about gun violence, what can we do about gun violence?
Yeah.
Gun violence. This is kind of what we're looking at as your everyday
Yeah.
gun violence. I mean, obviously the mass murder shootings and the school shootings, obviously horrific. But, if you look at it on the statistical data, even right now, it's still kind of a rare occurrence for that to happen. But the daily gun violence that we're seeing, and the fact that we're seeing defendants who are charged with felon in possession of a weapon, a gun, and I've seen machine guns.
Machine
Yeah.
guns, yeah.
Like, how do you get out on a PR bond if you're charged with possession of a prohibited weapon? And then I'm reading it going, machine gun?
Yeah.
How do you justify that in this day and age when everybody's trying to say we need to curtail, the amount of guns in the street, but we keep putting them back out again. So I am very confident right now that you're going to see a bill filed very shortly, because you have to, because the date's coming up soon where you can't file anymore, that will add felon in possession of a weapon where you cannot get a PR bond.
And if you're a convicted felon and you're trying to get your life on track and do the right thing, then why you got a weapon? I mean, you know what I mean? It's sort of like you can't have one, you shouldn't have one. And I mean, I think it's a red flag that if you're a felon and you're walking around with a gun, that something bad's going to happen.
Sydney, if we went back and looked at, let's say, the 187 or so, it would be interesting to see how many of them did have a felon in possession.
Yeah.
Charge that, because we used to always say, he was out on bond on such and such, and
Right.
a lot of them were.
And that would almost be an automatic PR bond there for a while, wouldn't it? It'd be like, oh, felon possession, no big deal, PR bond, or something really, really low. It was like it wasn't really taken seriously that here we have a felon that's got a gun on them when they were arrested or doing whatever. Right?
Pretty much so.
Yeah.
So what else?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that looking at felon in possession of a weapon, we've just seen those numbers, nearly triple in the past 2 years. And so one, that's an issue, but then the PR bond issue is a whole nother
Right.
problem. But I do think something that you said earlier, we had judges who were saying, give us more resources and ways to,
More discretion.
yeah, more discretion. And there was a judge that testified out of Dallas on Senate Bill 6 and said that in the most beautiful way. But, you know, some of these bills that we're looking at would do that. They
Yeah.
would really help support those judges, and credit where credit's due. I mean, the judges have been giving higher bonds, and it's not to say that we're, you know, we think that giving the highest number bond is going to for sure keep someone from harming. I mean, if they
Right.
can pay the bond, they can pay the
That's
bond.
right. They're going to walk out.
But it is just another barrier to kind of entry into the community. And really at the core of it is just keeping public safety and community safety at the forefront of everything.
That's what it's all about. Last week, there was a situation, and I'm not going to try to remember the specifics of it, but basically you had a defendant who had allegedly killed people on the island. They were in a golf cart. And he had people, he wasn't supposed to, the defendant was not supposed to drive or had a breathalyzer.
Yeah, one of his bond conditions.
Yes.
He violated the condition of his bond.
And apparently repeatedly. And yeah, so he gets hauled into court and the judge just basically says, hey, this is not Harris County. I'm not letting you back out to do this again. And I mean, I think that kind of speaks volumes that surrounding counties aren't seeing this. They're under the same constitution, right? So why is that? Why are we seeing judges in other counties, Montgomery County, Galveston County, where they're not playing with these people that repeatedly violate their bond, but here it's like no big deal.
It was pretty much routine. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Raymond was going to say something.
Well, there's a Facebook viewer, Matthew, that says, at what point do we consider felons time served? Are you a felon for life?
Well, I mean, that's sort of the way that it works. I mean, if you've been convicted of a felony and you go for a job interview, they're going to say, have you ever been convicted of a felony? There are people that have gotten deferred probation. If you get deferred adjudicated probation, you successfully complete your probation, the terms of your probation, you don't have a final record. You can honestly say, no, I've never been convicted of a felony.
What's your thoughts on that? Because I know there's a lot of movement to expunge, someone who's done X amount of time and has not reoffended again.
I think that we have to better define what is reoffending. And we've had this conversation a million times because currently when we're looking at the like textbook definition of reoffending, you have to go all the way through to conviction. But how many cases to be considered a reoffender?
Yeah.
But how many cases have we looked at where someone who has served time comes out, allegedly kills somebody, then allegedly has an aggravated assault or whatever, and they're in pretrial? Well, that person's not considered a reoffender until they get fully sentenced.
But you can make the argument that you're reoffending by breaking the law.
Right.
Right.
But
I
you're
mean,
still alleged until you
that's true. Right.
So I think the way that our system is currently set up, it is such that you're a felon for life. If you're convicted of a felony, you're a felon for life, and you can never own a weapon. It is part of the quote unquote punishment or consequences for whatever. Even if you've been fully rehabilitated. I mean, even if you are living you come out, you're living a great life, have a great family, all the things, it's just sort of the price you pay. So until or unless that is completely changed.
Well, and that's just like, okay, in a situation with deferred probation. Okay, let's say that I got that, I successfully completed it. Then at the end, I can say I did not.
Right.
I was not convicted of a felony, but if you looked me up, that would still be there.
Be there.
Right.
Just you can honestly state that you had not been.
Right.
So you can do it. I'm just going to show this one thing just because I find it interesting. If you look at the bonds approved, and you like the numbers here. If you look back and you look at 21 on
Mhm.
homicide,
Mhm.
there was 357.
Mhm.
And then in 22, 183.
That's a big
That's
For
difference.
homicide.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
So the decrease there is 49%.
Right.
That's huge.
We
but-
didn't plan this. I just have it here and you have it there.
And I really want to make it,
anything.
I really want to make it very clear that sometimes I get painted as a person that doesn't think people deserve a second chance. That could not be farther from the truth. Everybody deserves a second chance, maybe a third chance. But if you are accused of a crime, and if you did not commit that crime, the last thing you want to do is be out getting repeatedly arrested and charged with new offenses. Again, it's all alleged. Yeah, you're not convicted at any point, but how many innocent people pick up charge after charge after charge? I don't get that. I understand, yeah, there are people that are in jail, that are in prison. They shouldn't be there because they didn't do it.
People say bad things about you.
I know. Sydney says bad things about me all the time.
Me?
She's holding back
No.
now because she doesn't want me to cry.
You promised her what? That your new anchor.
I know. And now
Let's get
now
this
that she's
right.
at the rodeo all the time, they've got Caroline at the rodeo
I'm
all
just
the time.
saying, there's a reason that we have this banter.
I'm going to make this happen. I
Uh-huh,
promise.
uh-huh,
I
uh-huh.
promise.
So like on
Um,
tonight's, go ahead.
What are you going to say? Go
No,
ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I'm going to change the direction. So
No,
finish.
you
what
go
Change
you're
the
ahead.
saying.
You
direction.
finish, you go ahead.
I want to
Change
give our
the-
clarification about SB6 that we discovered.
Okay.
Yes.
So this
That's-
week we were looking up a case that we thought perhaps a PR bond had been given for a violent offense that was covered in SB6.
True.
And it required that we went back and reread the law, which we do. And basically what happens is in order for an offense to be within SB6, that crime has to be committed after the date that it went into effect. So
Right.
the crime that we're looking at happened before the date of it went into effect, but the bond was given after December 1st.
We should do that story.
We should. I'll tell you
Okay.
what, let's do it tonight.
That's a great idea.
Imagine
I
that.
love that idea.
I do too.
So like, the one, and actually the one that we're going to be doing tonight touches not just on that, but it touches on the fact of what we were talking about before,
Mhm.
recidivism,
Mhm.
because this particular case involved someone on parole,
Mhm.
right? Who,
I think it's a perfect example too of, I hate to say it this way, but how screwed up the system could be, right? It's just nuts. I mean, you've got a guy that he's charged with murder
Mhm.
while he's on parole, while he's sitting in jail under a murder charge, he successfully completes his parole.
success.
He's a success story as far as the parole is concerned. Then when he does get out, he's running around, he actually serves
He actually did some time in Brazoria County Jail for another offense while he's out on bond here for the murder charge.
how does it make sense that you're out on bond, but then you can also serve a sentence, an entire sentence for theft in another county? If this makes sense, somebody please fill me
It
in.
was so convoluted, you were shocked because I actually had to construct an actual timeline instead of my
Sort of.
usual
In
chicken
Andy's,
scratch.
yeah, in Andy's form.
In what, bold print?
All caps, and your letters are not the correct letter. So I thought it was an H, but it was an M. I thought it was
code.
an
A
R.
code,
It was
right.
a D,
Secret code.
But it's
That's tonight, right? So
Yeah,
it's gonna be.
It's
pretty-
it's a very complex, interesting case.
yeah, after you see it, you're gonna go, what? That can really happen? But yet it does happen.
I can't wait to see how you actually write a script for this, because that's gonna be fascinating to see how you start this and end this, because it's like a pinball.
Oh, yeah, it's hard to follow, but I'll make it happen. Be sure to tune in to Box 26 News at 9 for tonight's Breaking Bond. Appreciate you watching.
Remember one thing, if you want to make me happy, Drake's case.
Yeah. Hey, be nice to yourself and everyone else. Thanks so much for watching. Have a good one. Bye.